Grade 11s, welcome to your lesson on marketing function. This is the third topic that we'll be doing. If you're following the textbook, you'll find that it's not chapter 3 in term 2's work. You'll find that it is in term 3, and the reason why it moved is due to the changes in the caps, and that the textbook has not been updated yet. So we're starting with marketing. Now when you think of marketing, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Is it something that people want to sell? Is it a pestering salesperson? Is it all those ads that draw you into shops? Is it the music that they play inside? Is it our company specifically target specific people in specific regions? Well, if you thought any of that, you are right. It's a combination of everything that I've just said and much more. Marketing function is one of the most intriguing aspects of the business, and one that I don't think will ever be replaced with machine or e-learning. I think there will be some aspects that will be replaced, for example, market research, as machines can already pick up your buying habits, the regularity of what groceries you buy and what brands you buy. So brand recognition, etc., machines can pick up, but they don't have that creativity or can predict what will happen if there's a specific event, for example, a sale or a new marketing launch or a strategy that was launched. So I hope you enjoy it. And may you learn something from this. I know this is a lot of work, but it is definitely worth it. So when you see these 4 images, what's the first thing that pops up? Do you recognize any of them? Of course. The reason why I recognize it is not because it's Coke or it's Nike or it's Apple or it's Microsoft. Yes, it is. That's their brand names, registered, but it's because they are a household name. That was their main aim when each of these companies started. They wanted to become known and become so popular that they would feature in each house, or that each house would at least know what that brand represents and would have had experienced the brand at least once. So over the years, Nike has settled, Coca-Cola is leading the market. In some places, Apple as well as Microsoft. So this will be your aim as a marketer for a company or for your own company. You want to make sure that your brand is known, it's out there, and it becomes a household name. So in the marketing function, we'll be looking at marketing activities, product policy, price policy, your distribution, marketing communication policies, marketing in formal and informal sectors, and foreign marketing. In today's video, we'll just be looking at the marketing activities, and the following video, the product policy. So what should you be able to do after this video? You should be able to define the marketing and briefly explain the role of marketing. You should be able to outline or mention or discuss the marketing activities, which is your standardization, your grading, storage, transport, financing, risk bearing, and buying and selling. And you should be able to identify the functions or activities from scenarios or the case studies. These outcomes from product policy I'll go through when we in the following video. Okay, so for today, let's start with marketing. When you think of marketing, there's 4 specific tools that we refer to. Okay, 4 policy tools. We call them the 4 P's. It's your product policy, your price policy, distribution policy, which is the place, and the marketing communication. So to summarize this, if you've got a product and you have a price, you still need to have a place where you sell it, and you need to communicate it, the promotion, and you need to communicate to people. So if there is consumers and the market is flooded with them, then you need to have the right product with the right price at the right place being communicated at the right level. Let's say it's load shedding again, and you are selling generators, right? So people have got the need, there's a target market, they want to buy generators immediately. They are tired of sitting in the dark. But your product, you've got the right product, great. Your price, oh, your price is a very important part. If the price is not right, you can have the best product, but people will feel either it's too expensive, but this can be tricky as well. If your price is too low, people will start wondering what is wrong. Maybe this product is of standard quality. So make sure that your pricing is right. So you can have the right product but the wrong price, or the right product with the right price at the wrong place. For example, in a place where the people are not affected by load shedding that much. I know, for example, in Uitenhage, in a specific area close to the hospital, a whole suburb is on the same electric line, or gets power from the same substation as a hospital close by, and thus they will never suffer from load shedding. So although they're in the target market or the demographics that fits your profile of customers, one of the pieces is not fitting, and therefore you will not make a sale. Or you can have the right product at the right place at the right time, price, but no one knows about it. So your promotion is not up to scratch. So you can see you need to have all of these working together in order to make that sale. Okay, so let's look at the definition. With marketing is an ongoing process. Okay, marketing, it's a full cycle. So it starts with, you have to identify the need, then you have to solve the need by creating the product that will solve the problem. Then you need to sell it to customers, and then not just sell, make sure that they're satisfied. A satisfied customer will return. If you sell a one-time sell and they don't come back, you can scratch off that customer plus 10 others, because word of mouth travels farther than any other poster. So make sure they are satisfied. Okay, so that's the full cycle. Marketing also includes understanding the consumer, making sure you know where they are, the standardization and rating, storage, transport, financing risk, and buying and selling. That's all aspects or activities that we're going to look at now. So let's recap. It means you have to create value to the customer. So you need to understand what's their needs, deliver value, and satisfy that need, that problem that they have. If it's a good solution, they'll come back. It's a bad solution, they will tell everyone as well. Good, they'll tell maybe two. If it's bad, they'll tell everyone they know. Okay, another thing is there's an aim of a marketing function. You want to link business products and services with the customer's needs and wants. So you need to, in such a way, tell people, hey, you know what? I know you've got this need. And you know what? This business has got the solution to your exact problem. We understand your problem. We go through it with you. We understand it, and that's why we created it. And when you create that link and sell on a personal level, that's where the link is established and the relational part is established. But I'm going into much detail now. So let's take this for example. You're sitting in the dark and you need to make a link between your company that sells light bulbs or any lighting equipment, and that person can use then to light up his room. Okay, this instance there's nothing wrong, there's no load shedding. Okay, then as I said in the previous slide, the right place at the right time, the right product, service at the right customer, right place, right time. But where we can continue, it's about product, place, price, promotion. It can be at the right time, but then quality and quantity as well. If you run out of stock too quickly, then it will still leave a bad image. People will get annoyed. They'll feel you just lure them into the shop to buy other things, and that's another tactic which we'll get into a bit later. But they'll feel misused. That's what you do not want to have. And then quality means if your product is of substandard, then you will have a problem. Okay, create a new target market or maintain your market share. So when you start off, you want to hit the target market, right? You want to create one, so your marketing is intense. Or if it's existing business, you want to make sure you maintain your market share, that piece of pie, or at least grow it. Okay, so you need to understand where your customers are and to what activities they respond to the best. Is it a personal touch? Is it flyers? Is it emails? Is it the messages? What is it? Okay, so what's the role of the marketing function? The role of marketing function, it exists to maximize profits. So that's your first one. You want to maximize the company's profits. Okay, the business functions need to work closely with the marketing function. So if your business has got a whole program running, but it's not aligned with the marketing, then the marketing won't know what the business is doing. They need to tell a story, and in order to tell a story, you need information. If you tell a story to your smaller brother or sister, sooner or later you're going to run out of ideas if you're just doing a thumbsuck story. But the moment you have your facts and figures straight, then you can tell an incredible story. Same with marketing. If you don't have your facts right and understand the process and what goes in through it, then you can't build a storyline to sell. Okay, you need to gather information, what's the needs, what's the preferences, the buying behavior, and then share that with the other departments. So let's say you've got a product and it solves a problem, but then in your market research you find out that they've got a need that's similar to that, and that your product, by a little bit of modification, can supply that need as well. Then you need to communicate that. Preferences, do they want it in different colors, different forms, different textures? What's their buying behavior? Do they want to buy this regularly or once off? You need to share that so that your company can align itself in order to make more sales, maximize profit. Need to assist the development of the marketing strategy, develop a marketing plan, develop sales forecasts and projections. So marketing in real needs to understand what's the target. So they'll help the sales department to set forecasts and projections. So to say, you know what, we want to sell 200,000 items in a year, and that's our forecast. And how are we going to achieve that? That's the marketing plan. How are we going to achieve it? What are we going to do? Break it down per month, per week, per day, and then everyone's got something to work towards. Then they can decide which products or services the business will sell and how the products will be distributed. Determine what prices they are going to sell. So when it's cash, well, it tends to be lower, and credit, it tends to be a bit higher. But if you use a credit card, there's a difference between buying on credit or buying with a credit card. Because money will still go from your bank account immediately to theirs, and you just owe the bank now. So that's still technically a cash sale. So just remember the difference. Okay, so marketing activities. Finding the customer. That's a very important part of any business. If you can find your customer, you're halfway there. So how? You do market research. You need to understand what's the purchasing power of people. You need to understand what's their preferences. You need to understand if they're willing to buy. Okay. You need to understand where they're located, the demographics. So if you look at the purchasing power, that means how much money do they have to spend. Okay, so it doesn't make sense if you want to sell a 2 million rands Porsche in a local community. Everyone will go and watch the car and take it for spin rides, and that's your marketing strategy, but you will not sell one car because you need to understand the purchasing power. Preferences, you need to understand they are brand loyal, so they'll probably stick with Volkswagen. Or in the Eastern Cape area will probably stick with Volkswagen due to brand loyalty, due to a lot of families working at Volkswagen. And that can be an influence. If they're willing to spend that much money, that's a very good question. I'm not sure if people, even you have to really understand who is willing to spend that much money on a car and why they want to do it. Now, if you understand why, then you've got the right formula. Okay, that is why I left it out for last. So why is one of your better and best questions. Okay, next, standardization and grading. Now, you need to understand what's the standard. Okay, in any business there must be a specific standard. So standardization means it's the process of developing a uniform set of criteria to ensure the production of quality goods. You don't want to have one batch of good items one week and then next week it's a batch load of faulty products. Then you'll get a lot of flack. Okay, so you must make sure that everything meets the standards and it's approved. So there's a few authorities that you can that will assist and give you that stamp of approval. For example, the SABS, South African Standards of South African Bureau of Standards, and they will certify the quality standards or the quality of the goods. Grading, now this means you will sort individual units, okay, into specific classes or grades of quality. Wait, let me go back. SABS is with the production function. There they'll do the quality. I'm running ahead of myself. In standardization, it means you must make sure that the way you do your marketing as well is of a set criteria, that you don't jump around too much as well. Okay, grading is, take X for example. If a company sells X, they want to differentiate and have different grades of quality or classes. So you get the A class, a large, extra large, medium, and they all have got different prices attached to that. So you need to sort the X, because not every batch will be the same. So you need to sort size with size, etc., according to specific criteria. Okay, hope that makes sense. Storage. Now, storage is also another part that we need to understand. When a product is produced, we need to keep it somewhere. Now, with mass manufacturing, you don't always have a chance to send it directly to the retailers. With mass production, you will have products that will be everywhere. Okay, so you won't just be producing 5 or 50 or 100. You'll be gunning for 1,000, 10,000 at a time. Because of efficiency and productivity. That's the production function. They'll always push for efficiency, productivity, and lowest unit cost. And that means pushing as much as possible in one setting. Okay. Now, if you receive all of that as the marketing department, you need to make a plan. Now, that's not necessarily the marketing people's problem, but they play a big role because they've got their predictions and forecasts of how much they want to sell in a year. So the production will just align with that, or try and beat that in a small way of also trying to create some growth. So here you can see different examples. So in every photo you can see it's a warehouse and there's forklifts, so there's a lot of equipment. Now you need to understand you need to keep your product safe. Okay, so this is even before it gets to the wholesalers or retailers. You need to keep your product safe. Okay, so storage is important. Okay, it's important what type of goods you can be stored. It's important that you know that your goods must be kept safe before or until the final consumer gets it. And yes, insurance. You need to ensure that your products, if there's a fire or theft or damage, that you will be refunded your product value, because there's costs involved as well as your profit that you were banking on. So storage plays a big role. It's not just dump everything in a corner in a shed somewhere. It's about making sure you know where your stock is, how much value stock you carry, and then as well, important thing is, let's say you sell food, okay, especially frozen food. Now there's expiry date on. So each week or each day new products will be arriving. Now in a cold room it's easy, you freeze the foods, let's say chicken for example, but you still need to rotate. We call it FIFO method. So first in, first out, or last in, LAFO, last in, first out. There's different ways of doing that, but that means there must be stock rotation, and you need a system to understand where the products are. Okay, next one is transport. Now the goods are stuck in a warehouse and you need to get it from a warehouse to a wholesaler, from a wholesaler to a retailer, and that happens via a few different methods of transport. And that is also determined by the type of product that you have. If it's small products, you will probably not need a Superlink, but you can have an 8-ton truck or a bakkie. The bigger, you will need more space, which can go into a Superlink. If you're importing it, can be via ship if you've got time, or if you're pressed for time, you can fly it in, but that's all based on time and preference and requirements. Okay, so transport ensures that the products are moved from the producer to the consumer. You need to understand the speed, cost and safety. So this is just a reminder of your grade 9 EMS. So the firm produce goods and services, right? And households render the factors of production. But this is the important part. How will the firm get the goods and services to the household? Okay, that is via the transport factor. Financing. Now, in financing, you need a few things. Now, capital is normally your startup capital, and you invest in a building. But now, if you don't have operational capital to continue the work, you are in big trouble. You need the cash flow to run this business and to run the marketing. So one of the things is you need to be able to cover the cost of advertising, insurance, and you need cash flow. Okay, you need to be able to pay your bills. Another thing is, now people are buying on credit. That means they buy from you directly, but they will only pay you in 30 or 60 days time, depending on your contract with them. Now they're your creditor. They need to pay you later, but that means you'll only get your money 30 or 60 days later. That means you've got a gap of when you will receive the money that you should have had now, because the products are gone. So you need to bridge that gap. Okay, and that is when you need cash flow or financing, that you can go and borrow money, and that's normally why you ask a higher price for stock that you sell on credit, is so that you can cover your current expenditure while you don't have any money or received any money for the period that you were supposed to receive money from. Okay, that is, you need to bridge the gap, okay, that income gap. And marketing, we need to ensure that we make enough profit to cover our input cost. We discussed it's important how they will pay for a product. Is it cash or credit? We said if it's credit, it's a higher price. And we need to budget for credit, sales, deposits, higher purchase, etc. Now, let's go into risk bearing. Here you can see at the top, risk. There's a fine line between making a profit or a loss, and there's a big connection between the two. So let's look at how it's connected. So risk is involved with owning goods. So as long as you've got the product with you, you are at risk. The moment you sell it, it's off your hands, you don't carry that risk anymore. When there's risk, you want to insure against it. That means there's an insurance cost. So everywhere it's either risk or there's cost. But with insurance, the risk is mitigated. Okay, so you're on a fine line. So there's a possibility, that's risk, that your products might be damaged, stolen, outdated stock, and that will result in financial losses. So you can then, if a factory for example catches fire, or goods can be stolen, or goods can perish, that means you will have a massive loss. Okay, that you will not be able to recover the products to sell that, and that means you sit with all that production cost. You won't be able to continue, and you will have to liquidate, sell the assets, and try and pay the creditors. Now, if a business receives raw materials or semi-raw finished goods, is there a risk? Let's talk through that quickly. Yes, there is a risk. Why? You own the product, you have the product, and if it's in your custody, you bear the risk. Okay, so there's still warehouse can catch fire, there's employees that can steal, climate change, or the climate can play a role. If it's moist, if it's too hot, can it perish? Spoilage, the economy can play a role. That is all important things to understand and remember. So once the intermediates receive the product, your supplier no longer carries the risk, as I said, and you need to understand how it's managed. Okay, last one, buying and selling. Now this is a funny one. It's an exchange process. So buying function, that means there's a searching for customers. You need to understand where is the market that you want to penetrate. The selling function deals with the promotion of the product. Okay, how are you going to get your message out there? To whom? What message? How will you communicate it? So some business need to buy raw material in order to manufacture final products, and some business want to buy and sell goods and services. Okay, so this was a long video. There's still another one. You can use these slides as a base for your summaries, and you can start with completing the informal activities. Thank you.